We're offering this webinar, just as a way to stimulate thoughts of, how how this developed and how, God can lead us into partnerships with organizations where some really meaningful work can be done. And so that's what I hope everybody will walk away with today is a deeper sense of that. Um, we are going to be hearing from the folks from Neighborhood Wellness, Gina and Marilyn. And so, what'll probably be helpful to folks is if you could put yourselves on mute, um, and just kind of remind everybody about that. And if you have questions as things come along, there's a couple of different ways you can surface those. One is to put the questions in the chat, and I'll be monitoring that. And then there's also if you know how to do the Zoom stuff with the raising of your hand uh, feature, then I'll be kind of watching and monitoring um, all of that as we go along. Please feel free to ask questions as we're going around, and and we'll see what transpires, what God has for us in store. Um, if we get off track, don't blame God. It'll be because we've allowed ourselves to get off track. Anyways, but let me begin with actually I'm just going to offer a prayer for the human family. It's on page 815 of our Book of Common Prayer. Oh God, you made us in your image and redeemed us through Jesus, your Son. Look with compassion on the whole human family. Take away the arrogance and hatred which infect our hearts. Break down the walls that separate us. Unite us in bonds of love and work through our struggle and confusion to accomplish your purposes on earth, that in your good time all nations and races may serve you in harmony around your heavenly throne through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. That prayer just spoke to me today as we do this work. So, having said that, Diana, I'm going to turn it over to you for this brief overview of how St. John's relationship with Neighborhood Wellness began.
Okay, thank you. I'm Diane Williamson, as most of you know, a member of St. John's in Roseville. And back in 2020, many of us were shocked and dismayed at the murder of George Floyd and others. The videos taken by cell phone cameras made this violence seem so real and revealed an underlying racism that exists in so many institutions in our nation. We went to our rector, Father Cliff, to ask whether there was anything we could do to learn more about the topic of racism and how we might work to make things better. We searched and found the Sacred Ground program, a product of the National Episcopal Church that uses films and readings to encourage faith-based dialogue on race in small groups. And for me, Sacred Ground was a life-changing experience. After completing the series, some of us were eager to find ways we could work to correct the problem of systemic racism in our country and communities, ways we could repair the breach. I immediately thought of Dr. Gina Warren, the co-founder and CEO of the Neighborhood Wellness Foundation in Del Paso Heights. Gina and I had a long relationship that began when I taught all three of her children in third grade at St. Michael's School in Carmichael. A pharmacist by trade, Gina gave up the security of her profession to explore her passion, founding a nonprofit organization that would bring about healing to the community in which she had grown up. The purpose of neighborhood wellness is to lift up a neighborhood that was destroyed by the crack cocaine epidemic and the resulting gang activity and mass incarceration during the 90s. Focusing on intergenerational trauma, neighborhood wellness works from within, hiring neighborhood navigators to reach out into the community. St. John's relationship with neighborhood wellness began with us helping to set up and stock the Essential Pantry at Grant High School, a part of their Pacers Take Space program. Since that time, we've made ourselves available to Gina and Neighborhood Wellness, contributing to the pantry and helping in other ways as we're invited. There is so much more to neighborhood wellness than the pantry at Grant High School, to which our parish members so generously donate. One thing we will do this morning is watch a short video. I'm sorry. One thing we will do this morning is watch a short video about neighborhood wellness for impact programs. And I think what we'll do, Gina, I'm hearing from Gina. I just got a call from her that she's having trouble getting on. So Gabe, if you wouldn't mind, while we watch the video, if you wouldn't mind sending Gina and Marilyn the link again, we'll go ahead and do the video first and then have them talk.
For many, the Neighborhood Wellness Foundation is home.
It's who we are.
The foundation sits at Clay Street and Grand Avenue in Del Paso Heights.
What we created was an opportunity for us to disrupt intergenerational trauma and poverty.
Since 2015, the foundation has been helping people through impact programs like healing circles. It's a safe space to let it all out.
We talk about everything from violence, abuse, neglect. Healing Circles is our first program that Neighborhood Wellness created. We've never had an opportunity to talk about our challenges. So what we've done is, in most communities like ours, is suppress. And that looks like depression, that looks like anxiety, that looks like anger and frustration. So creating that space allows people to talk. It's the first line to heal. It also is the first line to listening and understanding. So now you can be more strategic in how you provide support. We want people to heal because we want them to access their full potential. People often say, adversity makes me who I am, but it also takes away who you could be. So we want people to recognize, yes, that you have a foundation of survival. We want you to have a foundation to thrive.
When you come to a healing circle, you oftentimes learn language for your experiences that you didn't have prior, right? So it is somebody saying, I'm experiencing this or that or X, Y, and Z. And it creates reference for those who are listening, saying, you know what? I've been having that very same feeling, or I had that very similar experience happen to me when I was 14, 15, 16, and I never knew what to call it. I never knew what to say about it. I didn't know what words to put it in. I think healing circles are not just about what we come to say, but what we hear. And it was that deep listening that really empowered me.
Restore Legacies was actually created out of Healing Circles. It's an impact program where we recognize that the challenges that we learned was preventing people from moving forward. So Restore Legacies addresses the unhoused. It addresses those with substance use disorders. It addresses those who are formerly incarcerated and those who are struggling with literacy.
Neighborhood wellness is good for our community. I'm loving this program. People come here for concrete needs when they can't pay a bill. We help pay the bill for them. It's a lot of people that's struggling out here. They're really struggling.
Last year, I got help on furniture. They provided me clothes for my grandmother's funeral for me and my grandkids, and for my kids and my son and the grandkids. A few weeks ago, they helped me pay my deposit, in my place where I'm in now. And it's just like anything you need, they got it. If they don't got it, they're gonna make sure something happened, you know what I mean?
Higher Heights, we recognize the direct correlation between preschool to prison pipeline. We want to disrupt that. We want to disrupt that legacy of incarceration. So we know education and healing is that pathway. So we can help continuously build capacity for our adults and our young adults and our youth.
This impacted my life hugely. First off, I went back to school, got my diploma. Now that I have a diploma from Higher Heights, my daughter went back to school and got her diploma this year from Higher Heights, which is great for me because it's showing my children that it's not too late. My dad did it, so I can go back and do it. I understand that it's okay to fall behind, but it's not okay to stay behind.
Patients Take Space is a school-based health center that's located on Grant Union High School's campus. Our goal here is to make sure that students have the resources that they need to thrive and to overcome. We make sure that students have access to mental health care as well as physical health care, where they're able to receive these services right here on campus.
This program has definitely made me more open to opportunity and learn how to connect with others.
A moment that I can take with me when I graduate with Pacers Take Space is definitely will remember like coming here to get some supplies if I don't have them, and talking to my therapist when I feel like I need to like get something out.
It has helped me regulate emotions, take time to prioritize myself and my own needs.
Pacers Take Space did so much for me. You know, I think at a time like this where we're approaching adulthood, especially college, things like that, a mentor is needed. You know, you got football players, you have volleyball players, you have people that don't play any sports. You know, people just that are in their own worlds, and Pacers Take Space uses that and brings them together to help them grow as better adults and better individuals.
Pacers Take Space helps students and gives them support like tools to grow emotionally and academically. After graduating from Grant High School, I did nurse aid. I passed my state exam, and right now I'm doing pre-health in college.
So that video just kind of gives an overview of the 4 impact programs of Pacers Take Space. And I see that Gina made it on. So welcome, Gina.
My apologies. It's my world. I feel like I'm in a whirlwind right now. And I looked at my watch and I was like, oh my God, when I saw Diane calling, I knew immediately. I was like, oh my gosh. So my apologies. There's just so much going on right now.
Well, we're so happy to have you here, and thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I was just over there on Wednesday, and I see all the things going on and all of the impact that you're having in that community, and so we're just really happy to hear from you. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for the opportunity to even share with you not just what we do, but it's who we are. Service is who we are. And I just came back from DC, and I had the opportunity to present at the American Public Health Forum with Northeastern University. So we are now penetrating the academic landscape, which is huge for us and for me personally, because I want our goal as Neighborhood Wellness is to have the academic world reaffirm what we already knew and what we already know, that Healing Circles, for example, is really mitigating violence. It is really giving folks an opportunity to realize their full potential by lowering those barriers. And so these 4 impact programs are just examples of the pathway of how we get there. But Neighborhood Wellness has recognized from a systemic level what is really the root cause of our challenges, and how do we create pathways that are alternatives to that toxic road. And as we all know, it's like when you say a road less traveled, we want that one to be a road less traveled. We want that toxic pathway, knowing that you will always go back down to what's familiar, but you'll just go there less and less when freeways have been opened up for you that have never been opened up for you. And so as an organization, we have been rooted in this neighborhood. I grew up in Del Paso Heights. Marilyn Woods, the other co-founder's mother, taught elementary school there for 40 years. And our navigators, our team, 12 of them have over 500 years combined of being connected to the neighborhood. So they have been there since many of them born and raised there, but seeing the historical perspective of how this amazing neighborhood that I remember turned into a neighborhood of concern, where we constantly make the community health needs assessment reports for low literacy, high violence, high unemployment, all of these challenges, all the disparities. But we as an organization have identified the mechanisms that created those patterns. And so now we can be strategic and how do we not just disrupt it now, it's like, how do we dismantle that and give our children an opportunity to really thrive, and also supporting our parents who were once children to give them the opportunity to create a healthier living space for their kids so that becomes a healthier learning space. But We've been at it now for 10 years. Nobody thought that they thought we were crazy. And Marilyn and I said, this is our goal and this is what we want to do. And we know that folks from the neighborhood are the ones that are going to change the trajectory of the neighborhood, that we were going to build from the inside out, bottom up. And why that's so important is because we need to understand from a lived experience what it's like to be on the bottom, what it's like to be unhoused, what it's like to struggle with addiction, what is it like to feel constantly those memories of abuse and neglect, abandonment. What is that like? And then how do we help get from that bottom, moving upward? So let's see. So some of the specific ways that we can help, there's so many different ways. I mean, some people just say, hey, I'd like to donate. Say, for example, for Christmas time, things have changed. A lot of the donations have dropped significantly. So we're always looking for ways that we can provide positive experiences for our kids. We have an elementary school where 108 of the families are experiencing homelessness. 96% of them have been identified as below the poverty level. And so we always want to create positive experiences. So having a Christmas party for them, having gifts for them. There's other ways that we have literacy challenges. Even within our navigators, they're all working really hard to get their GED because it's the fastest pathway. In order for Sac County to fund us, they have to become peer support specialists. And even though they've got decades of lived experiences and being out in the field, they have to have their GED or their high school diploma equivalency. And so many of them they've been studying really hard. So having folks come out and help with some one-on-one tutoring to come out and or directly support our pantries. What St. John's has been doing since we opened up Pacers Take Space, have been providing support for our pantry, but now we are going to be opening up a pantry at the middle school, at the elementary school, and we would need support with that. And that's toiletries, that's feminine products, that's food, that's clothing, underwear, socks, beanies, and hoodies, especially during the winter months, coats, shoes, socks. So, and then we're out serving the unhoused, and we will be out again starting in January, where if, helping to make sandwiches or making sandwiches at the church and then delivering them on the days that we're out in the field. Those are different ways that are super helpful. Buying gift cards that, our kids can go out and get some food. But whatever it is that you do, it will always reach our community. So whether you want to do direct service and come in and have some hands-on, just want to do the donation because that's the best way for you, come and make sandwiches, contribute to the essential pantries and help restart pantries at the other two schools would be super helpful. Yes, definitely. I can send a list. I can do that. I don't know how to do this on the webinar, but I can send it directly to you, Diane, and get that out. I already created that list. So yes, I can send that.
Gina, this is Father Cliff.
Hi, Father Cliff.
One of the things that I wanted to just sort of mention to everybody that's on here, and you may have picked this up from what you've been hearing, but from a church's perspective, from an outside perspective, one of the things that we learned in Sacred Ground was that for us to come alongside neighborhood wellness and really listen to what their needs are, not to try to come in with solutions to things that we think should happen, but rather take that opportunity to just to listen and then to really think about how we can assist. And so we're always, as far as St. John's is concerned, and I'm always talking to Diane and Joanne about this, is let's be listening to what Gina and Marilyn need, and working with them on all of that, not trying to come in with solutions ourselves.
No, sure.
Because we don't, we're not living in the community in that way. And as much as we think we understand what's going on, we have to rely upon the people who are living this experience. I just wanted to throw that out there.
No, well, I appreciate that. And I do want to say this, and I see your hand, Diane, is that we have 78 years of incarceration on our paid staff. And I say that because it is so critical for people to understand why it is so important for us to sustain that, is that they're not just that they're unemployed, but in society's eyes, they're unemployable. We now have had just completed some background checks, and some folks who the principal, one of the guys, absolutely loves him. He's the greeter in the morning. He's what they call him grandpa, and he helps her out a lot. Well, now he was just told he can't come on the campus because of his background of using drugs and selling drugs. And this was 28 years ago. And so it's like, if we don't have opportunities for our community, who's going to hire them? And who is going to give them an opportunity to really realize their full potential? Even at his age, he's working on his GED. He's working so hard. And to see him as changing his life is actually motivating our youngsters in the community to say, wow, I can't believe Uncle Charles is in here, blah, 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 blah. So they're not just getting sustainable employment. Charles is the first time had his own apartment for the first time ever in his life. He's working hard. He has a 401k. He has medical benefits. He used to be on SSI. He is no longer on government assistance. He is earning his own income. And now it's like, okay, Charles, you're okay, but you still can't come on the campus. And it's like, okay. So now we've got to shift some gears and, move him in a different direction. But I encouraged him on Friday that you're not going anywhere. We still need you. But it's being able to sustain employments for our folks who otherwise, if they don't have a job, they're going to have to get money somehow. And they will go back to what they know. And that's the survival technique. They will sell drugs. They will do it illegally because they can't get work. They say, don't check the box. You don't have to check the box. But okay, you don't have to check the box, but I'm still going to do a background check. And then I'm going to find out you had history of incarceration. I'm just not going to hire you. Finding people, partners who are really, really ready to hire, and not just hire them, but to support them on their journey. So when they have moments like you saw Sam got his high school diploma. Sam's been incarcerated for 30 years and didn't learn to read and write till he was 26 years old in prison. And now he's looking at potentially going to college because he met a speaker that came in that also had been incarcerated. But he encouraged his daughter to go, and she went and got her high school diploma. These are incredible changes that Northeastern University says, wow, it's working. And all the concept mapping, the academic aspect of it. Now we're seeing it in real life. Like, this is really working. So the data is now, I can give life to that with a narrative, with real lived experiences, and to show that these things are possible. But it's the connectedness. It's the love. It's not rocket science. It's just love and support and encouragement and belief that folks who are struggling the most can actually make it and contribute back to society. And they are determined with an unwavering spirit to show that, yes, we can change this neighborhood around, and they're doing it. So, but yeah, having unrestricted resources, because we have resources from county, we get resources from the city, from hospital systems, and they have very specific requests. And we understand that. But then we also get some money from philanthropists that say, you already know what you're doing, just go do it. And that's what we prefer, because oftentimes we have to streamline and we have to adjust the gears and say, okay, this is more important right now. When we had the fentanyl crisis, and we were out in the unhoused trail, and we were out there twice a week, and we reached 220 of our unhoused neighbors every single week. And those were duplicated numbers. And duplication is important because that means we're building relationships. And they started talking to us. They started telling us that, yes, I'm HIV positive. Yes, I'm out here. I got kicked out. Yes, I'm a survivor of domestic violence, but I'm here because I don't want to go back. I've been a victim of child sexual abuse. That's the conversations we hear out on the unhoused trail. I'm numbing, obviously numbing their pain to self-medicate so they can survive those experiences. And then we meet their basic needs. We give them food, we give them water. And then now they're open to talk. They're open to say, hey, yeah, I need some more of that Narcan because we've got folks over here that are on opioids. And then we go there on Thursday and they're saying, oh yeah, this week we had 6 reversals from fentanyl overdose. So thank you for the Narcan. We need some more. That's how it happens. That's how we were able to reduce that fentanyl-related deaths in Del Paso Heights by 50%, according to Sac County. So when we have to shift the gear based on the need, we need to be able to have the resources to do that instead of saying, oh no, the resources say I can't go over here today because I'm supposed to be doing this. That's what happens when you're with restricted resources. Questions?
Yes, we have 2 raised hands. Looks
Okay.
like Diane and then Marilyn.
Okay, well, I'll just go quickly first. I just want to say that Marilyn is here, so I'm going to turn it over to her in a minute. But Gina was talking about working with the neighborhood navigators, and the neighborhood navigators are really the heart of the program I'm learning. And I've been being a tutor. One of the neighborhood navigators, and it's been such a rewarding experience for me. We meet together every week, and I kind of look at it more as being kind of a life coach tutor, because I'm kind of helping her navigate things and make her way through the system, and realizing how much more difficult her life is than mine, just by virtue of where she is and where I am. And so it's been a really eye-opening experience for me, and a wonderful one as I'm forming a relationship with her. And now I just want to invite Marilyn. Would you like to have some words for us?
Yes, first of all, I'd like to apologize for being late, but I was sick last night and I took some NyQuil.
Oh.
I mean, I think we've all been there.
Yes.
But my apologies, and I would like to thank you for this opportunity to come before you to talk about the challenges and the success that Neighborhood Wellness has experienced over our last 10-year history. The one portion of what Gina was saying that I'd like to just add to relates to the economic development that we're providing in the community. We see the results of the services provided to the clients, but because we build from the inside out, we're also providing economic development to the community, which is an important element of how we do our business. We're not there to bring in people, right, to help the community solve their problems. We're there to, as an executive function, to help the community co-create their own solutions. It's a totally different way of looking at how do you treat people with dignity. We have a lot of folks who have lots of human potential, but because of their adversity and because they've been dysregulated in a lot of ways, they just hadn't had an opportunity to plug into our system, the way we view our economic mobility in a way that allows them to fully participate. But because we provided some additional structure in ways that other employers may not be willing to address, we've been able to allow, for example, child support payments. So how big is that? in terms of bringing families back together, right? Because all of a sudden, dad is not a deadbeat. Dad is actually providing some economic support to his family. And so there's reconciliation and improved access as it relates to what it means to have a father in the house now, or at least a father figure that's providing support to his family. So we see that as a huge economic boom to the family, as well as an important emotional support, okay, to the children in our community. Providing some economic stability. It's hard to regulate emotionally if you don't have economic stability. We see it every day with our unhoused. If you don't have a place to lay your head or food to eat, there's just no way that you can then start to address some of the other challenges that you've experienced. And I can tell you that my big aha when I started working in this business is the level of childhood molestation. It's incredible. I mean, our society shouldn't have to put up with that, but it is really unfortunate and it happens quite frequently. And for these adults who are children at the time when a lot of this happened, for them to figure out how to process those challenges, you get a lot of hyperactive activity, or aggressive activity, hence a lot of prison and all of that, or you get a lot of just, medication, which is, substance use disorder. So, we see a lot of that, and we're trying to help people get ready. You can't make people ready, as you know. You can't make folks ready. I mean, everyone has to have an opportunity to process their experiences in ways that they can come to terms with moving into an environment that allows them to prosper. So we're providing the foundation for that for the community, and in our healing circles, our expectation, our hope is that becomes a practice in the community, that and our clients have healing circles in their own environments, as Gina mentioning our Sam, who got his high school diploma, whose daughter has now since gotten her high school diploma, and how our navigators take this tool out to the community, and in the parks they have healing circles, or on the unhoused trail they have healing circles. It's just another way of really practicing compassionate listening and alleviating the stress of those who need to share their story so that they can help process what happened to them. The other good news is, because we're providing some economic development, we've had two staff members who've actually moved on into home ownership, which again provides, taxpayer revenue to the community, so you can create, better infrastructure there, and a sense of belonging and a sense of pride that you're living in this environment that you now partially own. So, it's a win-win when you lift from the bottom, or lift from the community, I should say, not the bottom, but when you lift from the community and have an opportunity for the folks in the community to really participate in the upside. They already participate on the downside, but let's help them participate on the upside. I also want to mention, on our website, we have Amazon lists, and we'll update that, particularly as it relates to what we might need for our children for Christmas. But there is, particularly for the pantry, there's a list of items that our students say that they need. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Thank you to both of you. And I'm just wondering if there's anybody who has any questions that you guys would like to would ask. This would be a good time. Yeah, Bob.
Thank you all for this wonderful presentation this morning. I've learned so much. Miriam and I had the good fortune to being up at Neighborhood Wellness in the spring for a celebration. Oh my gosh, was that a celebration? That was so wonderful. I still have warm feelings and can still smell the barbecue. So, oh wow. So you get an opportunity, go to that. Though I'm glad what I learned then, and I'm even more glad what I learned this morning. If there's an organization like yours in our community here in Santa Rosa, we would definitely know now how to come alongside them and listen to what their needs are. But we haven't found one yet that is actually, there are a lot of organizations involved with the community, but not in the way you are and all the wonderful, just the basic, as you said, Marilyn, lifting from the bottom up, or lifting from the community up. Um, what would be your suggestion of maybe how to gather a bunch of people who are involved in community work and just brainstorming about how to get an organization founded like Neighborhood Wellness that really realizes the root problems and looks at things from the root, and then so many things happen because that's where you're working. Do you have any suggestions about that?
I'd like to say that, first of all, thank you that you're even interested in doing something like that. The interest definitely has to come from the community. You can want for the community, but the people in the community have to want that. Because the reason why Neighborhood Wellness has been successful is not because Marilyn and I are still tied to the community, but we identified and we built a team of folks whose their passion is unwavering. Their commitment is unwavering. They want to see the community change. Now, we're happy if you want to, there's some people over there in Santa Rosa that are interested, and you say, oh God, we would love to meet with them and tell them what we've done and how we created this infrastructure. And happy to have that conversation. But yeah, like Marilyn and I said, it's like we started off in one direction and started to recognize the real challenges and then quickly shifted over towards that. You have one idea of what you think it is, and then you get on the ground and you recognize that this is not what it is. This is what it is. And here we are 10 years later, like we're still in awe about a lot of the work that went in these 10 years. Was not all successful. And that's part of the success, right? Is to learn, to grow, to shift, be willing to be flexible enough to shift those gears, to be willing and, strong enough to say, okay, this is not going to work with these particular groups of folks from the neighborhood, but we're going to continue to move with these. Maybe they're just not ready yet, and hopefully they'll get on board later. You got to be able to recognize those things. And that's been a lot of work. A lot of commitment, but be open, be flexible, be aware, be willing to listen, be willing to learn from everybody, from the children that you interact with to their parents who have been formerly incarcerated, maybe on drugs, maybe homeless. They still have something to say. And they still can teach you so much about what you can do to improve your delivery of service. So, that would be my recommendation. Is that, if you want to gather some folks and we really be willing to have that conversation, but the infrastructure has to come from those connected to the neighborhood.
Got it. Wow. Thank you so much, Gina. That's really, really helpful. Thank you.
Sure.
Gina or Marilyn, I have a question, or maybe it's a two-part question. One is, as you think about the past 10 years, what would you say has been your greatest success? And as you think about moving into the future here, what is your greatest challenge?
I would say our greatest success has been the development of our neighbors. The growth that we've seen, the incremental growth that we've seen in actually trying to change the culture, because that's what we're up against, is this enculturation process that looks so different than anything anyone probably have experienced, because of the way we have generations now of neighbors who have experienced a lot of trauma. Okay. So to have our community recognize that they have been in this intergenerational cycle of trauma and poverty is huge. Okay. Because after a while it becomes normal. It's like, oh, well, cousin so and so went to jail, then I'm gonna, that's where I'm gonna go. So I'm gonna do whatever I want to do, but that's where I'll end up. And it's okay because, that's where whatever it, whoever is. So for that acknowledgement and that floor to exist, that there are different expectations now for the community, has been a huge change in just creating a new paradigm. Okay, creating, as Gina said, opening a new pathway for the community. So I see that as a huge success, and understanding what's acceptable and what's not by way of behavior. The greatest challenge I see is how do you sustain this and how do you institutionalize it, right? So we are involved in a grant now that the state's trying to figure out how do you provide community behavior health on a community level. And so we're engaged in trying to see if the model that we have and how do we shape this model that they can then duplicate across the state. Okay. So we're looking at creating sustainability through the process that exists. But the challenge is like we don't fit all those pegs, right? Because we're community driven and we're not governmental organized. So Gina and I are the bridge, okay, if you will, the bridge. And so our job is to bridge our way into those structures that will allow some continued sustainability of the community work. And that's what we're working toward right now.
Okay.
Marilyn and I have been around each other so much, like glued to the hip, that her answer is my answer. And honestly, the only thing I would say is that when she was talking about that intergenerational transfer of adversity, to shift that culture, it is so difficult. It's so difficult to imagine that. Why is it that we don't want to tell on anyone when we know that so-and-so's giving fentanyl to these children and they're dying? Why aren't we saying anything when we know so-and-so pulled the trigger because we have to, stay silent? Why is it that, like Marilyn was saying, that violence has become normalized, and it's like having to unlearn and then learn a new way is so challenging, especially if you're not immersed in it every day. So I can go and I can go to neighborhood wellness, but I got to go home. And if we're not including the family and the family's not ready to receive this, then we can't. It's very difficult for that child or that young adult. It's not impossible, but very, very difficult. But so what we recognize is that the ones who are being successful are the ones whose families are engaged, where you see like Sam, and then his daughter went and got her high school diploma because the dad modeled the way. But then you've got, our community who, like I said, we got 78 years of incarceration on the team. They're modeling what is possible. So everybody around them who were in were in the gangs with them going, wow, so-and-so's doing so-and-so's, like, wow. Or what Marilyn talked about, the molestation, right? They're learning that what happened to them, that wasn't normal? No, was not. Was that healthy? No. Was it acceptable? No. But they did not know that. They didn't have language to their adversity. They didn't have language to what they experienced. And so they just endured in silence. They struggled in silence. Now they know. Now they understand that all of those experiences, that's why I'm feeling angry. That's why I want to fight all the time. That's why I want to go grab some substances to numb my pain. That's where it's coming from. Yeah. But guess what? Now I can get out of that. I can lower those barriers and I can move towards something positive. they are learning those things that we should have learned in kindergarten, but they didn't. And so what Diane was referring to, that the challenges, I agree with Marilyn 100%. And I was going to say the same thing, is about sustainability, right? But then it's also sustain, but then you got the larger community of that socioeconomic paralysis. How do I navigate these systems? Then the systems that are not set up for success for our community. Why do you have criminal justice systems that say, okay, well, not going to make it easy for you to go get a job, and you can't stay with your family members because that violates parole because they have history of incarceration. So I'm homeless now. Or I can't, it's the systems aren't set up to support the work that we're doing. It is a constant battle fighting them to say, hey, these folks need to get a chance to be successful. Why do we have auto mechanic classes and learning how to be a barista and learning how to wrap cars and paint cars, and all of that's inside the jail at RCCC? Why don't you have it outside the system? So when they do get out, we can refer them over there. That could be part of our program where we say, okay, you're coming out. I'm going to sign you up for this. You're going to get your education. You're going to get your mental health support every week, because we know that if you get angry, you're going to go to 1,000 and then you're going to lose your job. We want to give them the full wraparound services. So when they do get that job, they can sustain it. Right. But then they actually can get a job, or that can get housing. The system makes it so challenging for us to do our work. But then there's partners like you, like some areas of the city, some areas of the county that say, we believe in what you're doing and we're going to support that. We're bumped up against the system too, but we love what you're doing. And so we're going to take elements of what we can do and support you. Same thing with Twin Rivers. They love what we're doing, but they have a system in place that says, okay, you've got records. It's not our choice. We want you on the campus, but certain things that we can't do. So as much as we have challenges, we also have support. So we just need to be able to sustain that support and keep getting more and more unrestricted resources that will allow us to sustain our team.
Okay.
Looks like Diane has her hand raised.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I put the website in the chat if you wanted to check out their website. And also, Gina sent me the list of ways we can help. Gabe, are you able to screen share that? I emailed it to you.
If you give me a second, I can pull it up.
Okay. And I'll also send it out to all of you after this webinar.
And I didn't add on there, though, what Marilyn had just recommended was the Amazon list. So we can add that.
Okay.
And they can get that from our website, Marilyn, or is it on our Facebook page or
on our website?
Yeah, on our website.
So
if they access the website, they'll see it there.
So do you want to kind of talk through this for us, this list?
Yeah, so what I had mentioned earlier is that some of the quickest and easiest thing to do for folks is to just give donations directly to the Essential Pantry, and that's a list of all the things that are needed. We are working to establish one at Woodlake Elementary, MLK Middle School, and then we can help sustain the one at Pacers Take Space at Grant High School. And then we also work at, Capital Career College and Career Academy, which is a charter school in North Sac area. Holidays is what I mentioned earlier too, as well as, food boxes even. And we can create a food list where sometimes, like Marilyn and I are working and are in another nonprofit together. And we used to every year build these food boxes based on the list of food, the list that was given to us. And we decorate these beautiful Christmas boxes with, Christmas wrapping, a bow, and then everything that's on the list, from a turkey or ham, and then all the stuff for desserts, all the sides, fresh produce and things like that. So that's what I'm referring to, the food boxes, or, if you want to give food gift cards. And then again, transportation, Uber or Lyft. Sometimes it takes 2.5 hours for students just to get around on the bus. It makes it really, really challenging. So having support for transportation or parents or getting gas cards, super helpful. And then now when you're talking about actually service, Higher Heights, the tutoring that Diane's doing, donating or even contributing to our healing circle for food or participating. And then if you can go down, I know there's another one on there. Restore Legacies. Again, just in-kind donation, raffles, things that we can use as incentives for Pacers Take Space. We used to provide support for DUI programs. Sutter supported us. We ran out of that funding, but we get people often coming because they cannot afford the DUI class. And so we provide that because then now they're driving legally, they're getting some therapy, they can take their kids to school, or they can get jobs that are associated with a license. And so having that support is helpful. And then the service projects of, again, making soup and sandwiches. We had another church that did that for us all last year. So every Monday and Thursday when we were out in the field, and this one won't start till January, where we provided some hot meals for our unhoused population.
Thank you so much. That is wonderful to see specific ways that we can help. And I just want to thank you so much, Marilyn and Gina, for taking this time to be with us. You've just kind of given us an open door that we can walk through. And I will send this list out to everybody after this. I'd like to turn it over now to Miriam, who's going to wrap us up.
Thank you. Great thanks to Gina Warren, Marilyn Woods, and Giovanni Harris, who created that really moving video montage that we watched at the beginning of this session. It helps us to know better about the life-changing work being done in Del Paso Heights to bring healing to the community and especially to the young people, which is so very important. Great thanks to Reverend Cliff Heigenjos and Diane Williamson and all the good people at St. John's Roseville for developing a relationship with the Neighborhood Wellness Center to support the mission and vision of the Wellness Center and to live into our baptismal promises to love our neighbors as ourselves. That's really what it's all about. This program today is sponsored by the Commission for Intercultural Ministries, and our mission is to provide support to the diocese and the churches in the diocese to choose love and to build a beloved community in our neighborhoods. Our hope is that leaning into learning about the Neighborhood Wellness Center will inspire other congregations to develop supportive relationships with community organizations near them. And so what you're doing in Del Paso Heights is an inspiration for all of us. It's a blessing to hear from you, and we pray it will be a blessing to others. We're going to make this video available so that a larger audience can see it and experience it. And we hope for more engagement with the Neighborhood Wellness Center. So thank you all so very, very much.
Well, on behalf of Neighborhood Wellness, and I know Marilyn wants to share as well, we are beyond appreciative. Just having people believe in us, to support us, to encourage this journey has been, it's a lot of work, emotionally exhausting, sometimes often discouraged, but oftentimes encouraged. And And so we thank you guys for your prayers, for your continued prayers to help keep us moving forward. So we appreciate your willingness to learn more about who we are and what we do, and looking forward to your continued support.
Yes, thank you so much for all that you've given us. And I would just like to ask for your continued prayer. This is very much like missionary work. I mean, we are there on the ground trying to do the best job we can. And it's with the light of God that we are able to do what we have done, and that, we will continue to do. So thank you for your commitment, and keep us in your prayers.
For sure.
Thank you. We have a couple of deacons that are here, Margaret and Marcia. Would you guys like to dismiss us in some fashion? Go for it.
Go in peace to love and serve the Lord.
Hallelujah, hallelujah.
Thanks be to God. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Praise be to God.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you
Thank
so
you.
much.